Okay, so welcome to sports yoga. And as always, we're going to just take a bit of time transitioning into the practice. So come onto your yoga space. It doesn't need to be a mat, it can be a carpet. I just recommend it not being on a hard floor, particularly for sporty knees. We need to protect those knees. So bring your big toes together. You may be high up, that's fine, but bring your big toes together. Bring your knees out as wide as you can. Bring your hands down to the floor and then draw your bottom towards your heels. Again, don't worry if it doesn't touch, but walk your arms forwards and either create a pillow with your arms and rest your head down, or walk those arms forwards and rest your forehead down. You do have these lovely yoga blocks. You can always bring the ground to your head as well and support yourself there. So just finding your child's pose. My child's pose is naturally a little bit lower. So my bottom can come a little bit closer to my heels, but you'll see it's not quite touching today. And you may find that some days you can go a little bit deeper into the postures, and some days you feel like a tin man, which is absolutely fine. So just come into this child's pose. Let your body become heavy. Close the mouth. Breathe in and out of the nose. And here there's an option to close down the eyes as well. We're not going to be changing position for a couple of minutes, so taking this opportunity to close down the eyes. And we are restricting the blood flow here into the knees, so if you can feel any tension building up, just a gentle rock side to side, shifting the weight to one hip and then the other. Just moving with that breath. Just taking time to transition in, slow everything down. And if you are moving, just come into stillness there. Really tuck your tailbone under, so you might need to lift up to do that. Tuck your tailbone under, really arch your back and tuck your chin to your chest. So rolling your head under, so we've got that really big arch from our tailbone, from our sacrum, all the way to the top of our neck. Breathing there. And then inhale, take your head up. Walk those hands away, so keep pulling them away, fingertips to the ground. So it doesn't matter if your bottom's high, I'll show it with your bottom high, but walk the fingertips away, keep those arms off the ground, but bring your head back down. So a big stretch through the shoulder blades, all the way to the tips of the fingers, trying to lower that chest down. Breathing there. Really focus on your body being heavy on the exhale. Inhale, take your gaze up to your hands, bring your palms back down, walk your hands underneath your shoulders, spread those fingers wide, press into the hands so you can bring the knees closer together but still separated a little bit, so hip distance apart is ideal. Tuck your toes here and take time to tuck all of the toes. You might have squashed toes like me from years of trying to force yourself into narrow shoes. So just take your time to make sure all those toes are tucked. Two options here. You can rest with your hands on the floor, pressing into the base of the hands to really stretch the underside of your feet. Or if you're not really feeling it, and you want to take it a step further, walk those hands up to your knees, roll the shoulders to your ears, so you have the full weight resting on your heels and your toes, focusing on the breath there. It can be really easy to pull this face up. That's where the mind over the matter comes in, so relax the face. Keep breathing. I know your feet are screaming at you. Focusing on the exhale. Think about when you go to a sports massage perhaps and they find that really tight knot and they press it and everything goes, oh my word. But only when you exhale can you feel that tension disperse, and that's what we're going for here. One more breath. And then as you exhale, slowly ease off those feet. If your hands were raised, bring them back to the ground. Coming onto those all fours, release those toes, give them a little tap on the floor. Let's come into those gorgeous cat-cows. Stick out the tailbone, drop the ribcage down, send the shoulders back. Inhale, lift the gaze. And let's reverse that, chin to chest, round the upper back, ripple through the spine, tuck the tailbone under more than you think you need to, so a squeeze of the glutes as well. And reverse, stick the tailbone out to lower the ribcage as you inhale, lifting the gaze, lift the head. Exhale, chin to chest, round the upper back, tuck that tailbone under. And one more here, inhale. Exhale. Lovely. Inhale here, looking forwards. Tuck the toes. And as you exhale, rounding the back, lift the knees to a hover. And then keep lifting the hips high. Keep lifting the hips high, so then push into the base of your hands so your body can come towards your knees. Look at the screen if you can. Notice I'm not preoccupied with straightening my legs. Straight spine, so you can really bend those knees deeply. Your body's resting on the thighs. Wrap those shoulders under, so avoid a flare. Tuck those triceps underneath you. Inhale, look forwards. Bring down those knees. Unhook the toes, send the shoulders back, look up. Exhale, round the back. Tuck the toes. Lift the knees, lift the hips, chest to the thighs. Inhale, look forwards. Lowering down those knees, lift the gaze, stick the tailbone out. One more. Exhale, round. Lift the knees, lift the hips, chest to the thighs. And then bring those knees back down. Keep those toes tucked, walk those hands back towards your knees, either using your hands for support, or this time perhaps you can intensify by bringing the knees together, bring the feet together, bring your bottom to your heels, roll those shoulders. If your hands are off the mat, take your hands back behind you, clasp your hands, take those hands down, broadening in the collarbone. Breathe. And release. Send those hands back down. Untuck those toes, give them a little tap. Okay, if you've done something really active today, a long run, or been in the gym, or been on the bike, be kind to your hamstrings. Tuck the tailbone under, arch your back, lift the knees, lift the hips, and then begin to walk your hands back towards your feet. Have your body resting on those thighs. So to do that, you need to bend those knees deeply. Deep, deep bend. Let the head go. Hang here. Inhale, gentle rock to the toes. Maybe you lift the heels. Your hands are stopping your fall. Exhale, weight to the heels. Lift the toes. Inhale, rock forwards. Lift the heels. Exhale, rock back, lift the toes. And then even out the weight in both feet. If you can release the hands, take the hands to the elbows. And maybe, unless you've got really, really tight hamstrings, you begin to straighten those legs a little bit. And a gentle sway side to side. Ragdoll posture, just bending one knee and the other. Lovely stuff. And then let the arms go. Tuck the tailbone under. Begin to roll yourself up. Super, super slow. Roll your shoulders to your ears and down your back. Keep rolling those shoulders. Lengthen. So really important we protect our lower back with these roll downs and roll ups. So find that fleshy part just above your pubic bone. And then lift the pubic bone, and notice when you do that, that squishy bit tenses and gets hard, as do your glutes. That's protecting your lower back, so engage here. Exhale your chin to chest, and then begin to roll your spine down. So bring those shoulders forwards, curl through the spine. Imagine maybe a fern leaf. In spring, as that uncurling, we're curling ourselves back. Bend your knees so your hands can come to the mat. Walk your hands forwards. All the way to a plank, momentary plank, don't worry. Tuck that tailbone under. Press the heels away. Big stretch in those calves. If this is too intense, bring down one knee, stretching one heel back. If you're still in a plank, good on you, extra core benefit. If you've got one knee down, change that knee now. So bringing the other knee down to rest, but press the heel back. Big lengthening of those calves. And if one knee's down, let's pick it up. We're in that plank again. Tuck that tailbone under, then send the hips high into that downward facing dog. Bend your knees if you've got those tight hamstrings. Breathing there. And then, because you are sporty and stiff, that's why you're here. Let's step those feet forwards, maybe half a foot, and then heel toe those legs. So bend one knee deeply, and then the other. Lovely. Pause. Take your feet off the mat. So we're looking wider than mat. If you're not on a mat, take your feet wider than hip distance, much wider. So maybe 2 or 3 foot apart. And then stick out your tailbone, big forward fold here. Lower the chest down. Can have bent knees here, that's absolutely fine, but breathe. Inhale, look at your hands. Step those feet back onto the mat, this time hip distance apart, and bring down the knees. Unhook the toes, slide the hands back to the knees, roll the shoulders to the ears, down the back. Bring your hands to your hips, shift your weight to the left knee and take that right foot forwards. Tuck your tailbone under here, so big left hip flexor stretch. Breathing there. Either stay there, looking forward with your balance there, but really tuck that hip under as much as you can, taking your hands back behind you. Clasp your hands, send your hands down, broadening in the chest. Breathe. And then release those hands down. Let's frame that right foot. So blocks are a good idea here if you have them. If you haven't, coming onto your fingertips, so we're broad in the chest. What we don't want is that rounding here. So if you have the rounding, try and lower your rib cage down, send those shoulders back. Gazing forward will help. Exhale, bring your hips towards the back of the mat. Your leg is straightening a little bit, but not too deep. So what I'm just trying to take is that angle a little bit further backwards. So we've gone from a right angle to more of a, is it obtuse? Yes, it's obtuse angle. Inhale, we come forwards. Exhale, coming back. So go steady here. Inhale forwards. Exhale back. Inhale forwards. Keep that left hand down. Open up on that right side. So lift the right hand up to the ceiling. If you can gaze there too, brilliant. Don't slump down on the left. Press into that left hand so your arms are gorgeously straight. Your shoulders are stacked. Lovely, and then take that right hand down. Heel toe that right foot to the outside of the mat. Your hands are coming down and creating big hip circles here. So draw circles with the hips, inhaling as you come forwards, exhaling as you come back. Getting into that hip joint, but all those hamstrings as well. Switch directions. And then pausing here, taking those fingertips forwards, that right knee is directly above the right ankle, fingertips walk off the mat. Either gaze forwards or to deepen that hip opening, lower your head and chest down, bow down, breathe. Check in with what that right knee is doing. Inhale, looking up, walk those hands back. And either stay there, focusing on that low lunge, so you might want to sneak that left leg back a little bit to extend that hip flexor, or for some contraction work and knee work. Inhale, lift the toes off the mat. Your heels might lift your hips might lift as well. Exhale the hands and feet. Oh, can't speak. Exhale the toes down. Inhale, lift the toes. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale, lift those right toes. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift the heel. It's that calf contraction. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Bring down those hands to the mat. Slide that right foot back. Tuck the toes at the back of the mat. Lift those hips high. Let the head go. Have your knees bent. If your hamstrings are screaming at you, walk out those feet. Sway those hips. Breathe. A bit of an interesting one in this session. So ignore pigeon. Forget pigeon. We're doing something similar, but going deeper into pigeon without compromising the back. Inhale, look up at your hands. Bring your right knee to your left wrist. So normally we bring it to the right wrist. We're bringing it to the left wrist. Flex those right toes. Bring down the left knee and slide that left leg back. So your body will want to go to the left. Bring the weight of your body to the right. Hello, IT band, hello, glutes. Should feel quite intense there. If it does, just ease off and come over to the left again. If you can bring that right hip down, do. And like I said earlier with the toes, relax the face. Focus on the exhale. If you're not feeling that stretch, you can come down onto your forearms, maybe bow that head down. So we're adding our body weight to that right leg. Breathe in. This is kind of to the knee as well, rather than the traditional pigeon. And then inhale, let's bring those hands back up if they were down. Slide that right knee back towards the back of the mat. Tuck those toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog, walk out those feet. Going to repeat that little sequence on the left side. So inhale, look up at the hands, bring down the knees, unhook the toes, Slide the hands back to the knees, roll those shoulders down. Hands to your hips, shift the weight to the right knee, bring that left foot forwards. Bring the knee on top of the ankle and tuck that right hip under as much as you can. Big stretch on that right hip flexor. Take the opposite clasp with your hands so it feels like someone's holding your hand. Take those hands down, broadening that collarbone, breathe. And then release. Take those hands to frame the left foot. Keep your hands down, bring the right hand down, open up on that left side. So you take that left hand up to the ceiling, really press into that right hand, the shoulders are stacked. Gaze up to that left thumb. You should be feeling it into your left glute here, breathe. And exhale, that left hand comes down, heel toe that left foot out so you can bring those hands to the center. Again, you can use blocks here. I'll demonstrate with blocks this time, and we're taking those hip circles. Going one way, easing into that joint. Switch directions. Lovely. And then either on your fingertips or take those blocks forwards off your mat. Bring that left knee on top of the left ankle. And then bring your head and chest down, bowing here. You can slide that right knee back as well if that feels okay. Big opening on the hips. Both hips, that right hip flexor and that left hip, the inner hip. And then inhale, walk those blocks or those hands back to the inside. That I'm going to move my way. And then just begin to lengthen a little bit into that left leg. Inhale forwards. Exhale back. Inhale forwards. Exhale back. Slide that left foot back to meet the right. Tuck those toes, downward facing dog just for a moment. Walk out those feet. So a reminder, forget pigeon alignment. This is a bit different. Bring that left knee to the right wrist. The shins down on the mat. Bring down that right knee and slide that right leg back. My left hip is high at the moment. Draw the left hip over to the left side of the mat. Breathe. I mean, if I'm finding this intense, you will be too, so do use your hands. Just go to that edge where you can feel the stretch. And breathe. Keep your chest facing forward. Maybe you can come down all the way and your forearms come to the mat. But do keep that body coming over to the right side of the mat. It's worth just checking it out. Hang out on the left and notice how it feels. And then shift the body over to the right, so directly on top of that left knee, and see how it feels breathing there. And then let's press into those hands if they're not already there. Shift your pressure into the hands so you can lift the weight off the leg. Slide that left foot back to meet the right. Lift your hips for the last time. That downward facing dog. Walk your feet halfway up to your hands, bending those knees deeply and hang heavy again there. Breathe. Release those hands. Look forwards, lengthening the spine. So knees can always be bent in these sessions. If you're feeling it, great. Go on feeling, not unlocked. Look forwards. Exhale, let the head and chest go as you exhale down. Inhale, press into the fingertips, look forwards. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, press into the fingertips, look forwards. And then begin to bend those knees deeply. Lift your hands up. Squat and press into your heels, lifting those shoulders up and down your back. Roll those shoulders there. I'm turning to the side. You don't need to. We don't need the space. You just need to be able to see me. Take your right leg over your left. Take your right arm up and over and take your wrist of your right arm. Ascend your hips to the right, lean over to the left. Breathe. If you tuck that left shoulder under and send that right shoulder back. And inhale, come up, release the hands down. Bring that right foot back. Take the left foot over. Take the left arm over. Take the left wrist with the right hand and draw yourself over to the right. Send the hips to the left. Tuck that right shoulder under. Send that left shoulder back. Breathe. And lifting yourself up. Here's a challenge. Clasp your hands purely to resist temptation. Separate your feet a little bit wider. Bend in the knees and see if you can come down onto the floor without falling or using your hands. The beauty of doing this on a screen is that I can't see you. Separate your legs wide as you can. Find your sitting bones. If naturally you're sitting like this, which you will be if you're doing sports yoga, slight bend in the knee is okay. Take the hands back behind you. Press into those hands so your spine becomes straight. Breathe there. Focus on drawing those shoulder blades together. Again, relax the face. Focus on that exhale. To intensify this and take it up a notch, flex the toes towards your face, maybe lifting those heels, and maybe press into those hands a little bit more so your collarbone can broaden and come forwards, rather than your shoulders rounding. Breathe. And inhale, coming all the way up. Bring your hands underneath your knees. Lean backwards so those knees fold in. Bring your knees together. And wrap your arms around the top of your shins. Let your spine curl backwards. So tuck that tailbone under. Hold your hands. If you were not to hold your hands, you'd be falling backwards. So what we're looking here is to stretch those arms out of your shoulder blades. Bow your head down. The more you press yourself back, the deeper the stretch across the top of the shoulders. Draw the belly button in, tuck that tailbone under even more. Breathe. And then inhale, begin to stack that vertebrae up one by one. Release the legs down. Cross your legs if you can, or just bring them forwards, but rest one palm on top of the other. Slightly bow your head down, close down the eyes. Just focus on that breath. Know that you've just got 60 more seconds. Don't skip this part of the session. Just carry out a bit of a body scan. How you're feeling now to how you were just 30 minutes ago. 30 minutes isn't a long time, but in sports yoga, if you just do these 30 minutes, it can make a massive difference in your recovery, in your conditioning, in preventing of injury. But most importantly, particularly for me, it's regulating that nervous system. creating that equilibrium between the stresses in our life and the time to restore. As always, it's been a pleasure guiding you through this sports yoga session. I hope you feel better than you did before you started. Namaste. See you later.